following me, you're with me, you're not distracted anywhere else. And it also gives me an assurance that you are thinking beyond what I'm discussing in class. That is my motivator. So if you ask me a question which is challenging enough and I take time to respond to it, you've made my day, right? So that's my interaction with the students. But if I don't get that, then I feel stressed. So what am I doing? Did I do my job well? Why aren't students asking me questions? Why aren't they stimulated enough? Why aren't they interested in what I am discussing with them? Right? So that could be a stress. Okay, clearly define employees' roles and responsibilities so that there is no confusion or ambiguity about what I should be doing and what I should not be doing. Okay, so for all the administrative roles, there are clear-cut job descriptions about what you need to do so as to cut down on this ambiguity. Give employees opportunities to participate in decisions and actions affecting their jobs. So if it is something pertaining to me, uh, I also should have the right to say something about it. Okay, so if you take my opinion, if you solicit my views on something, I feel more connected and I feel more involved. I would like to contribute, I would like to participate, and therefore if I have been party to that decision making process, I will ensure that I give it my maybe more than 100% to achieve what we have decided together, right? So on the other hand, if you just take the decision on your own and keep telling me do this, do that, I may not be motivated or interested to do whatever tasks you are allocating for me. So if the employees are given the opportunity to decide, even if students are told that this is the project that you need to do, but then you can decide which organization you're going to study, or maybe which sector you want to focus on. So that kind of autonomy, reduces the stress and generates more interest. The next point here talks about improving communication. So if you're transparent with people around you, that reduces uncertainty about anything around. So in the case of working professionals, if we get clear-cut, transparent messages from people around us in the organization, that would help us reduce uncertainty about our career development and future prospects. So in most organizations here, institutions, we would know how many publications or maybe how many years of experience are required for the next promotion, right? So what our future prospects are. If I publish in a certain well-known journal, what is the reward that I'm going to get in that regard? So there would be some performance evaluation system in place for faculty members so that they can aspire and plan accordingly. And the next point talks about establishing work schedules that are compatible with demands and responsibilities outside the job. So we need to understand that this individual is not just an employee for us, but is also a separate human being with a separate identity and has his or her own set of responsibilities even outside work. So that also needs to be taken into consideration. We've seen from my own experience interacting with people, there's been this experience that people have shared that the workload has increased multiple times since they started working from home during the lockdown. Okay, so probably people here have become a little careless about this fact that there are responsibilities beyond this job as well. And therefore, companies also have this practice of offering sabbaticals to their employees. And I'm sure institutes also have the same. So if somebody wants to pursue some higher education or some research project or some other research interest outside, so maybe the institutes and universities are willing to give them sabbaticals to pursue those passions. And in many cases, we also see employee assistance or wellness programs that are available for people. So be it the services of a counselor or simple basic amenities like a gym or a creche All of these are trying to help people cope with their challenges in a better and more effective manner so as to reduce their stress. Okay, so I'll stop presenting here and ask if you have any questions. If there are no questions, then Tripti, are you there? Or maybe Rahul?
Yes, Dr. Manasi, I'm there. I'm
So,
waiting. Maybe, the participants would.
I don't know. I see a whole lot of participants here.
Fully involved in listening you, ma'am. It is so, engrossing. The concepts are so engrossing that we don't have any questions.
That's
Agreed, ma'am.
actually, ma'am. Suddenly we are unable
Agreed,
to
ma'am.
ask question.
Ah,
Suddenly we are unable to ask the question. We are in depth listening to you.
thank you so much.
And there's very, very good appreciation coming on the WhatsApp group. Thank you for your appreciation. In fact,
I've
it's
been
a good motivation.
participating in the session here. Though I'm part of the WhatsApp group, I didn't have a chance to look at the message.
That is why I said. So,
Thank you so much, participants. Thank you. I hope this helps. That's the whole objective, right? Dr. Tripti, can we take a short break now because it's almost 11?
yes. So
Yeah.
we'll have a break for, let's say, another 10-15 minutes, and we can join again.
Okay, ma'am. Sure.
So I will look forward to meeting all of you here again at 11:15 a.m. Or should I
Yes.
make it 11:10, Dr. Tripti?
Okay, ma'am.
10 minutes is fine, ma'am.
10 minutes is fine? Okay.
Fine, and thank
Great.
you
Okay,
very
right.
much.
At
Thank you very much, ma'am.
10 past 11. Thank you.
Thank you,
Discussion
ma'am.
definitely
Thank
helped
you.
us. Your discussion definitely helped us to improve our personality so that our surroundings can also be improved. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for that appreciation. We'll meet at 11:10.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tripti.
Very good morning again. I'm sure all of you would be very curious to see your own EI scores. I've just put a picture over there. What is that? One of the Zuzus is asking, and the other one says, "That's my mind." So very often we might get convoluted and compounded in terms of the way we keep too many things into our minds. So at the outset, before I start to share this score, let me share that is, as this tool is particularly built on the framework of Daniel Goleman. It was created by Daniel Goleman for an easy use. It's not a highly standardized tool. It's not for the best of purposes to be used in the organization. This can be used for such kind of academic uses for learning and to kind of look at ourselves. Because you would realize that it doesn't have any checks and balances in terms of, if I tend to offer more desirable results, there's no method to check on this. Okay. But I also would compliment all of you that I think most scores that we have received are on the higher side, on most parameters, most questions, what we have received, most scores are on the higher side. With that as a rider, let me quickly share what the scores ideally range into. And we'll leave it for you. We assume that you already have received your scores and you try and vet your scores against the conversation or the discussion that we are going to hold on the next slide. So the scores essentially, when you look at from the interpretation lens, they should look something like this. On the emotional awareness, if your score is 31 plus, it's a strong, or it's your strength. If it is anywhere between 26 and 30, it's somewhere in the middle or an average. And if it is less than 25, then it's an area to work upon. I'll get into the details of it a little later. I'm not repeating the aspects of emotional intelligence or these 5 aspects, which we have discussed at much detail yesterday. But certainly there are very critical things to talk about in this, which I'll come to a little later. The second aspect is managing one's emotions then. And managing one's emotion, if your score is 32 plus, then you have a strength there. If your score is, as the data suggests, 27 to 31, it's a mid score or an average score. And the weak if it is 26 and below, which needs to be worked upon. Then the self-motivation on the same line, 31 plus is a strength, 27 to 30 is average, and weak is 26 and minus. Empathy, 31 plus, average, 26 to 30, and score if it is 25 and below. And coaching others' emotions, 30 plus is the strength, 25 to 29 is the average, and weak score if it is 24 and below. Now, having said that, one of the very critical aspects that we need to be very mindful about is that when you talk about emotional awareness, and we talked about emotional awareness yesterday, very quickly, the aspects of emotional awareness are, do I recognize my emotions? Do I understand what triggers them? Right? That's the second aspect. And is my behavior or my response or the way I react in such emotional situations, are those appropriate? So that's the awareness or the quick analysis or appreciation of the emotions which is required, right? So that's a very critical thing as the starting point. And we need to see where we are placing ourselves on this, okay? Subsequently, at a later stage, we can also have independent discussion. If you want to reach us out with regards to any of this data, please feel free, and we will be able to get into a one-on-one conversation on these topics. Very consciously, we don't want to bring this up as a group data for all of us to be privy to that data. But if you have a choice when we have a conversation to bring up these, if you have any clarifications on your particular scores. Having said that, once the emotional awareness, you have seen where you are stacking up over there. Second aspect is managing one's emotions. Now, managing one's emotion, we talked about aspects of understanding, controlling the emotions, adaptability, etc. Now, when we are talking about this, it goes without saying that managing one's emotion, if you are good at, but for some reason, for some people, if at all, your emotional awareness is somewhere in the average or weak, then you have a bigger point to ponder and to work upon. Because which means that you are controlling something that you are not completely appreciative of, that you are controlling an emotion which you have not completely analyzed and understood, and which then essentially means that you might be over suppressing it rather than really dealing with or managing with them very effectively. So you have to be very mindful that managing emotions can only be effective only once you have good score or good understanding or good appreciation of the emotions that you're experiencing. Okay, so that is there is a sequentiality out there. Be very mindful of this. Then we go to the third aspect, which is self-motivation. The self-motivation, as we talked about optimism and self-achievement, self-actualization and kind of stuff over there, it's very obvious. Once again, if I'm strong on self-motivation, just imagine if either my control or my emotional awareness is low or mid. What would it mean typically? If my self-motivation is well under control, I'm good at it, but managing my emotions is not so clear, not very well. So I'm likely to be running at a pace without really having an anchor. I might be moving without having really understood as to what's propelling me, and which means that I might have a very high possibility of derailment at some stage. And once again, only when the emotional awareness is on the high, and then if the managing my emotions is on the high, and then comes the aspect of social motivation, self-motivation. Because if, as I said, I might be very self-motivated, but then all of this has the risk of falling down very easily if the first two are not equally balanced and they are not aiding me in the process. And hence, I might be highly vulnerable, right? So you have to be very, very conscious of this. Now, these are the three aspects, as we discussed yesterday, that they are the aspects of self-management, right? Emotional awareness, managing one's emotions, and self-motivation. These are aspects of self-management. Now, it goes again without reiteration that unless these three are well placed, as we said yesterday, it's an inside-out framework. Unless these three are well poised, if I have the rest of the two, then there is a risk out there, right? For example, we talked about empathy, and morning there was this question of difference between empathy and sympathy. And I think Dr. Manushi had very clearly laid down the difference between empathy and sympathy, but particularly as we were talking about yesterday, that whole orientation to help others, that orientation to be supportive, right? That conscientiousness, etc., that we were talking about. So empathy, yes, if you are strong on this, fantastic. But what if my self-motivation is low, but I'm empathetic? This can be a very dangerous game, because if my empathy is very high, but I am low on self-motivation, I'm likely to take others down the lane along with me, because I have that capacity to build that connect out of my empathy, and which is where I can trigger equally well the negative emotions in others, or negative experience, or negative feeling regarding things, or negative perspective about things, just if I am great on empathy. So once again, as I said, the first three, only if they are well poised, well balanced, then only the empathy would have a meaning, right? And then the fourth, which is a fifth, coaching others' emotions. Now, if we have to coach emotions in others, which is actually about practicing and facilitating and engaging with others, helping people in their situations of difficulties and turmoil. Once again, if I'm not empathetic, right? If I'm trying to coach, I connect well with people, I might be extroverted, but I'm not empathetic. But I try to coach others' emotions. What would I be doing? At best, perhaps I might be manipulating with the people's emotions out there. Because if I don't have the empathy, if I don't have the care, if I don't have the orientation to help and develop others, then certainly what I might be doing is I might be using all of this, and particularly coaching others' emotions, if I have that capacity, to misuse to my advantage. And which is what I mean when I say manipulating the emotions in others. So that's the way the data has to be looked at. I would stop over here before there's some more perspective that I want to bring to the table, unless you have any specific questions with regards to this scores, and if you have any questions with regards to your own scores as well, please feel free.
So Rahul, please unmute as the hands are raised. Please unmute the participants.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Am I audible?
Yeah, very much.
What do you feel in the case of self-actualized? Suppose a person is actualized and he does not have more to achieve. In that context, how you see the self-motivation?
Fantastic. So, see, self-actualized is a construct. Even if you look at from the Maslow's work, it's unachievable, or you don't, there's no end to it. Because what you typically do is, and that's a quest, that's a continuous quest, where an individual is. However, taking your question, what I understand is, what you're trying to say is there could be situations where a person would have sort of felt at some stage of saying, I've achieved, I don't want to go further from here. And in such
Correct.
situations, yeah, these kind of
Yeah.
situations very often come at a very later stage of career. I mean, you don't experience people. There are at times. I met somebody sometime back who said, "I want to retire at 45," and he didn't know. I mean, on deeper questioning, he didn't know what retirement really meant. I mean, those kind of situations do arise. But yes, as I said, look at the impact of this, because sort of, misperception of having achieved in life, if the individual thinks he has achieved it and hence self-actualized and wants to retire at 45, and this guy gentleman was around 40 at that stage when I was having the interaction with him. What kind of motivation or how would he use because actually his self-motivation is not on a high. He's not driven. We talked about the inner drive yesterday as part of the self-motivation as well, right? So, which means that he doesn't have a drive. And if he is not driven, and if he is still empathetic, and if he is still, if he has the capacity to coach others' emotions, very well you can imagine that what this person is likely to cause to the system, to the people around himself. It can be a dangerous system.
I'm saying the same thing. Like, for example, if you want to become something and you have achieved, and then rest of the life, what you achieve. Like, for example, if you are in a teaching, yes, you need to publish a paper, you need to find some score, you need to do FDP, you're doing all those things, but it is not coming from within. It's the environmental demand. Okay, so it's not guided by self. Many a times happens that, for example, if one can say that, yes, I have achieved whatever I wanted to. Rest of the things are happening. So it may be for are you excited you got this? But for this person, it hardly matters because he's not aspiring for those things. Those things are, you can say, has become a meaningless or something because in that context, I'm saying.
So, I mean, that's a very likely situation, and particularly more so in the academic setups where the structures are relatively flat, I suppose, right? So it's quite likely. It could be discouragement on different counts, because of which after a while, somebody might have resigned, so to say, mentally resigned, not resigned from the job, but somebody would have emotionally resigned out of the things. So I think, which is somewhere, it's always, and that's exactly what we have been talking about, is about this whole emotional agility, or this, the agility.
So
or
the point I'm
drive
trying to make is that in such situation, the point I'm trying to make is that in such situations, self-motivation score would be low.
Absolutely. While,
Okay.
somebody might be calling it
But that person may be emotionally more aware and more able to manage his emotions and control his emotions.
If I mean the panel here, the experts here, a very simple solution, from my own perspective, I'm not sure whether it would be understood in the way that I want to put in. See, as teachers, we are in fact blessed, I would say. This is one point that I definitely feel to the core. Why I'm saying this is because we have a whole set of people and also the environment where we can contribute and add value, especially in terms of lot of students who are affiliated with us. So when we say that, that self-motivation should come, because see, definitely at one point we take a lot of academic achievements as routine. But when it comes to giving it to another human life, the motivation should come automatically, which means that the moment you add value there in terms of students' life, the next level is reached. So I think that would be a good point to self motivate oneself, especially as teachers. And another good way to achieve that self actualization state that we somehow know is definitely destined for a lot of us. So this is
Let's
Yeah, I
take it
think
the other way.
Yeah.
Let's take it other way, that many a times we do many things for others. You
Yes.
buy car, you buy houses, you accumulate things. You don't need it, but people expect that you should have that. So that's why we are doing many things. It's an environmental demand. You can say that it's a societal demands. But you do all those things, but after some time you don't find meaning in it because you're doing these things for others. That's not giving you the happiness.
So let me put it this
Okay,
way.
can I share a
Yeah,
personal story here? Okay. For example, if I have to share my story, I can say that my background is that I'm an English language trainer and I work at a hotel management college. At one point, I was very, very driven. Even when my mother was suffering from cancer, I was writing, I was pursuing a career, I never took leave, I looked after. But today, if I look at myself, I'm very tired. I'm not at all self driven. I know that my self actualization lies when I can stop my present career because I do not see myself going beyond it in this present circumstances. And I do not have a PhD in our time. Uh, I didn't do it. And now when I want to do it, there are so many restrictions. So beyond this, I don't see myself going further. And my self-actualization lies in creativity. I visualize what I want to do. But given the commitments that one has, it's not so easy to leave one's job and, do what you want to do always. So I'm aware of what I need to do, but I'm not driven at all. I don't feel that inner drive. I don't feel the motivation. Okay. So, but I'm aware. So, how does that go? How would one interpret that?
Sure. Let me put it this way. Thanks a lot. I think, and I really appreciate, ma'am, for your being very candid here. I would put it this way. These are exactly the choices that we made or make in our life. Self-actualization is not something that somebody else defines for us. Okay.
Right.
What I choose for myself is something that I go with. And even the earlier gentleman, I'm sorry, I didn't get the name. One of the critical aspects that you were talking about, sir, is about the environmental demands. It's my choice to go with those demands at certain stage of my journey. If I choose not to earlier, then I don't do it, right? And at any stage, if I choose not to do it or make a choice to do it, it's completely dependent upon myself because I value something and because of which I do something at any stage of my journey. And then subsequent next conversation when we'll talk about mindfulness, I have some things particularly in this regard. But what the point that I'm trying to bring over here is that nobody else judges or creates a goalpost for us, which can be referred to as self-actualization. It's completely an individual defined construct which we define for ourselves where we are heading towards and what we will achieve in our lives. And if I decide that I get satisfaction, let me give you a very quick example. There were two best cardiologists out here in Delhi. They both started their journeys from this hospital called Escorts, Professor Seth and Professor Trehan, right? I don't know, most of the people, at least in the northern India, would know of them. Today, Trehan has created a 233 different specialty hospital, which is called Medanta, which is a big group today. He's a doctor. But his self-actualization was somewhere else, versus Dr. Seth still is at the same hospital while the hospital would have changed 3 hands, and he is the best doctor. And at the age of close to 70, his hand doesn't shake when he is cutting the heart of somebody for the surgery. It doesn't shake a moment. That's the difference. So, but both are equally great doctors. Both are equally great surgeons when it comes to cardiac surgery. So it's the choices that we make. For somebody, the actualization is at a different level. For the other person, it is something very different. And which is what Tripti was trying to suggest. As faculty, as professors, we might have a very different goal to pursue. And that doesn't necessarily mean, if I don't become the head of the department or I don't become the director of the institute, that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't achieve the self-actualization that I gun for, I decide for. Make sense? Yeah?
Thank you.
So any other question? Very quickly, one more. If there's any.
If there's no other question, Dr. Mohit, I'd like to add to what you already said.
Yes, please.
So this is more in response to, would you like to stop sharing, Dr. Mohit?
There's more to it, but I will.
Okay.
Just one.
I just wanted to, share here that different people would have different objectives. Like to just continue with what he just said. For me, if you ask me, I'm already head of the department, but I would not like to become director of any institute. Why so? Because in that case, I may not have the time to enjoy doing things what I am doing at present. And I don't like that kind of a situation for myself. Right? So I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing at present. I enjoy carrying out the responsibilities that I'm already taking care of at work here. And I feel that if I become a director of the institute, I may not have time for what I'm doing right now. So therefore, that is not in my agenda that I have set for myself at all. And I would like to, substantiate this with the help of a visual. That's why, Dr. Mohit, I was asking you to, you could allow me to present just one picture, and then I'll hand it back to you. So the picture is, sorry, I don't know why this went back to the very first slide. So I don't know why this is
going to the first one.
I don't know why. So I'm just quickly trying to get where I stopped. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So there's an image here, which is, I'm sure all of you recognize, of the famous boat race in Kerala. Right. And this is a slide that I just added only to respond to your query. And here you see another picture. Now, what do you think is the difference between the two?
In the first, we are
competition.
In the first, we are in a competition. We are in the race. In the second, we are enjoying the flow of water, and the boating.
Right. So it's a journey in both the cases, right? In one, we are probably, we are doing what we are doing because we are in a race, we are in a competition, we want to be the best, we want to show to the world what we are capable of. And in the other, we are enjoying the journey rather than, focusing on where we want to reach. And this second picture also shows, if we could use it as a depiction of our own journey in terms of becoming more emotionally intelligent. No, we are in different boats going towards the same direction, but we really don't know where and when we will be able to say that we've actually arrived. We are like totally emotionally intelligent. All of us are only moving ahead in the same direction, but we really don't know what and where is the end of the journey. Right? Therefore, self-actualization or the motivation which is keeping us going may differ from one person to the other, but we are all at least progressing in the same direction. I will just, stop here. I thought I quickly pulled up these two visuals from the internet to try and substantiate what Dr. Mohit was trying to talk about.
Yeah. So very quickly, one last thing that I like to share before I hand you back, Dr. Manushi. And this is a little more of drill down, which Dr. Tripti's team has done, which is about the scores and the distribution of scores. Okay. And particularly, I want to rest on a few of those where you see that the blue, orange, and yellow, which is disagree very much, disagree moderately, and disagree slightly. These things are stacking up for more than 25% of the people for us, right? And if I look at some of those items, they particularly are, so this is one of them, which is negative feelings help me to address what I need to change in my life, right? So here, for quite a few of us, which is more than 25% of us, out of 137 responses, it is in the zone of disagree. Okay. The second is aspect that are calm under pressure. Once again, a significant number of us.
Please mute everyone. Lot of disturbances are there. Please mute everyone.
Yeah. Thank you. In any case, let's continue. I'm calm under pressure. Again, find it difficult to be calm under pressure, right? Then you have the fifth item, which is when challenged, I'm good at getting calm and focused to flow with life's demands. Okay. Again, more than 25% of us are in the disagree zone out here. Going next, the sixth item, when challenged, I am able to summon a wide range of positive emotions such as fun, joy, fighting spirit, and humor. Right? So again, 25% of us in the disagree zone, more than 25%. And similarly, on the eighth item, after something has upset me, I find it easy to regain my composure. Disagree, close to about 30% of the people is what we find over here, or rather 35%. And then comes the 10th item. I do not recycle and dwell on negative emotions. So if you really look at the point that we were trying to discuss between myself and Dr. Tripti, what is emerging out of here is that I think for most items we might have responded or we feel that we are able to deal with. But when it comes to dealing with negative emotions, I think a lot of us still have to go deeper into it, understand. And which is where, if you see, this question itself means I do not recycle and dwell on negative emotions. I find it difficult to overcome. I find it difficult to gain calm. I find it difficult to deal with the challenging situations and to, play with positive emotions in those situations. So essentially, what is emerging as a group data over here for us to ponder upon is that quite a few of us, not necessarily all of us, but quite a few of us might be experiencing difficulty to deal with negative emotions, and particularly negative emotion in most of our context might be arousing stress of some kind or the other. And which is where I think it's very important to look at also some of the ways and methods of dealing with stress, which Dr. Manushi is going to take us through going forward from here. Unless you have any questions or any reflections on this data, I would want to hand it over to Dr. Manushi back.
Dr. Mohit, just one clarification.
Yes.
Agree moderately, is it 4 or 5, or is it deliberately put as 5? If you see the sequence, 1, 2, 3, and it's coming 5 and 6. Agree moderately and agree very much.
So I think there is there might be some error out here, or maybe there aren't too many responses at number 4 is why you don't find the 4 to be appearing. But I will check with on this data with the team over there. You're right.
Dr. Mohit, one clarification I say, for example, suppose someone is reached, all the scores are very good. He's emotionally good, above 31. But even then, at one particular moment, he feels and found that let us show my grit to someone. दिखाता हूँ उसको मैं क्या है वो. So how you explain this particular phenomena in an emotionally intelligent person?
See, it's as simple as this. If you remember, we have been talking since last 2 days that the authenticity of emotion is very, very important. If I'm coming in with an emotion, with an agenda, right, and that agenda is undesirable of any kind, like for example, that मैं इसको दिखाता हूँ, the kind of thing that you spoke about. I think it automatically brings down the aspect of emotional intelligence, because which means that you are not able to deal with this emotion in oneself of saying, why should I be having a need to go behind somebody, right? Which is very natural. Up north, in the northern region, I come from north as well. A lot of times you find this abrasiveness or the rashness of saying "main dikhata hoon," right? And which is exactly what becomes the point of friction at a lot of times, because both parties start to get into that orientation of "main dikhata hoon."
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dr. Mohit. I got the message.
Yeah.
Very well said. Very well said.
Thank you.
A last question. We all are able to manage our emotions to an extent, but
Yes.
we as a teachers, many times we face a problem where students are not able to manage their emotions. Like for example, most of my students are the age group of 22 to 26 years of age. And you know, nowadays they are in a relationships and the breakups.
Yes.
And even you explain them, they're not able to manage their emotions. Recently, what happened in one case, even in two cases, the was police intervened and for the PR bond. And even you explain these students, particularly the boys, they're not able to manage their emotions. It's a very, very difficult. You can logically explain them, they understand also. But you know, it's like that being in love state is a psychotic state. It's a very, very difficult. And now these cases are, there are many more cases. So in such situation, how to help these students really vary. At times I feel that it's a problem to help them how to manage their emotions. And they're very bright students, very bright, very committed students. But sometimes I feel that I'm helpless.
Fantastic. So I leave for both my teacher colleagues here, Dr. Tripti and Dr. Manushi, to if either of you would like to take up this question with more practical inputs.